Welcome to episode 70 of the Jungle Brothers podcast. I'm Joey. We've got Paul, Tiara in the house.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi, gents.
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm coming back from being crook. I was a bit crook last week.
Itchy throat, high temperature.
Yeah, all those things.
Oh, gosh.
But I got the test, and it wasn't that bad, the test, despite what a lot of people said about it. And it was free, and it was express. And they sent me my results within 24 hours, and I'm COVID-free. But my voice is a bit nasally. I'm a bit blocked, and I might cough today. So just so you guys know, that's what's up. We're enjoying coffee from Panavore Cafe today. Big shout out to our boy Tree. Go and try a Joey sandwich if you have not already. We're still eating the fucking cream that Paul West brought us 2 weeks ago.
It's fine.
It was questionable, but it's fine, Paul says.
It's fine.
Central Tilbury.
It's fine. That's great.
It is like,
from
it is the
good.
thickest, hardest cream I've ever come
hard.
across. It's actually like butter. Even when you stir it into coffee, it's like butter.
Butter's softer than this.
Butter is softer than this.
And when
like
it turns
refrigerated
into
butter.
cheese, we'll just have it on bread.
That's right. Yeah. Scoop to the gooey section in the middle. That's about us. We got a couple things, a couple little events to mention, you guys. We got our mental health first aid course that's coming up on the 15th of August, which is not this Saturday, but 2 Saturdays from now. So it's like 2 and a bit weeks.
Courtesy of Rise Foundation.
Courtesy of Rise Foundation. If you want to get involved in that, there is space for outsiders. Just hit us up, Joey at junglebrothers.com. Get in touch. And if you need anything else from us, junglebrothers.com is your place.
And it's not necessary. You don't have to be feeling like you're going through a tough time to do this workshop. It's more about, what is it? It's about
well, I haven't done it yet, but it's awareness around
awareness.
the issues
Awareness.
I don't fucking know.
surrounding mental health issues these days. And it it floats around a lot, but it's difficult to kind of define for yourself if you haven't really
Awareness
sat down
and
with
action.
someone.
For us, part of it is to help us as coaches, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
to work
right.
better with people in our gym and around us.
Yeah, but it's going to help
And staff
everyone and
and
anyone.
Family.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So it's recognizing signs, I believe, and then giving you some tools to be able to deal with, being a first responder type thing for someone that you see that might be suffering.
Going for a tough time.
Yep.
What are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about marketing.
We're talking about marketing.
We're talking about Jungle Brothers marketing. I mean, there'll be a big focus on you, Joe, being our head of marketing department.
That's right.
And definitely some focus on Paul there too, being image and photography and everything else that goes with the look of our brand, which are two very, very distinct and important parts of our business. In fact, it's like it's a.
Especially notice that this
shop
week
front.
when we get our merchandise come in,
We look so fucking cool.
we got orders going out to people who have no connection to us, have never stepped foot in our gym, have never known any of us. They've just seen it on Instagram. And they're like, "Oh, that's a mad hoodie. Can you send me one?"
Yeah.
Which I find quite unique for a gym in South Sydney.
Yeah, no one wants to buy someone else's CrossFit jacket.
Yeah, I don't think F45, are sending out
Fitness First
to other suburbs.
special edition.
I'm still surprised that people drive around and have F45 bumper stickers on. I see them every now and then. I'm like,
That'd be
that's not
owners.
like probably.
Yeah.
Or coaches. I'm like,
Affiliate,
why do that brand just doesn't make me want to have that on my car? But then again, anyone who puts a bumper sticker on a car is generally a little bit weird.
I had
Capitalizing on that initial excitement. They sign up and then you're like, here's your bumper sticker. And they're like, yeah. And then they put it on and then they realize the next day it doesn't come off.
the Star Spangled Banner.
Yes,
cheap
so
and it eats the
American,
paint.
isn't it?
Oh, that's a shocker.
It's funny actually that the quality of branding and the quality of imagery, and you see, with big brands, F45 is a great example. Not even hanging shit on their training because we do that enough, and we'll probably do it later on in the show. But the branding itself, like it's this huge, probably I don't know, like multi-million-dollar organization now. I don't know if they've gone public, or maybe that was a thing when they expanded into the States. But they've got a shit logo. Like it's actually, if you look at it from the perspective of logo design and good design principles, which Paul, you've taught me a little bit about, they really break a lot of rules and it's a shit logo. But you're like, fuck, it's so interesting because, well, they're such a huge company.
Stains
Why
in
didn't you just
memory.
make a good one? Yeah.
You look at it, and it's like, and then it's there, stuck in your mind forever.
Indicates the short-term nature of things.
Well, yeah, it was probably very popular for that month.
Yeah.
You know, now it's times changed and moved on.
Well,
Down jacket.
in Australia, but yeah, in the US, it's still fucking
pumping over
peaking.
there.
I think even Trump's endorsing it. So, where do we want to go with our marketing today?
Well,
What
I
do you
think
wanna
we
know?
should start at the beginning, the very, very beginning.
Go historical.
The shimmery.
Oh, I
wave
need a little. I'm
throwback.
sure I got a fucking thing. Okay, later.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was going to say, we'll go back to the beginning, I guess, of the business. We didn't really, we learned small business the hard way, really. You know, we thought we had a good idea. Tira rocked up with this business plan. It was like 16 pages long.
Heaps of
Lots of
images.
little text. The text was at like 10 point, way too small. But, you know, we have learnt along the way and we've had people help us along the way. But we know now that it's such a huge part of small business, and we should have known, because as consumers all of our lives, you know, marketing is there. And I feel like everyone has an idea of what marketing is just because they're exposed to it a lot.
Maybe some folks
But
don't.
yeah, they don't
But
actually.
to boil it down, it's how you tell the market or the people what it is that you do. So if you think about, you got a suburb full of people or a city full of people, and you have a product or a service that you think they should buy, it's how you inform them of what you have and why they should come and buy it.
Yep.
Yeah, so we opened the gym first before we actually had any marketing tools in place, and no one was coming in. And then we realized, okay, we need to let people know that we're here. And then we sourced some advice. And I remember we probably went to quite a few people, but we paid for a little bit of advice too. I remember sitting down with someone, I can't remember who it was, and she was asking us, what kind of car do you think would represent your business?
Fuck, did
Remember
someone
that?
ask us that?
Yeah, and like we all said
Treadly.
car that we wanted to own. Oh yeah, I'm Ferrari. Oh, WRX. She was like, well, you know, this is going to lead us to our avatar, and I was like, what the hell is an
talking about-
avatar? Yeah, but yeah, it was. There was a lot of that to and fro, wasn't there? And we had
Yeah, well, at the beginning, we were still putting the brand together. So we were trying to figure out the story that we were trying to tell to people.
Yes.
Or, you know, because we were piecing together, you know, Fight, Lift, Move and those scopes and how they weave together wasn't even, didn't occur to us at that point. We were like, we do fitness, we're a bit edgy, we do different shit.
We hate the mainstream.
We hate the mainstream. We were in the park first before we got into the gym, and we already started rolling on. We had a logo, we had an Instagram, I think we got a website.
Yeah, we had, like, we were marketing,
We were marketing.
just not
Particularly
consciously.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're putting stuff out there.
our
Yeah.
first logo was it was
Was it
a guy holding a
the
flag.
flag?
Yeah,
I
it was
still
me.
love that idea. Yeah, it was you.
Yeah, you came and shot it at my apartment in Bondi, didn't you?
Oh, was that
Yeah.
you? On that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
And
know
then,
that.
then he thickened it out a bit,
Ah,
so the dude looked more jacked.
lengthened, thickened, and lengthened.
Just thickened.
Just
A pretty
thinking.
tall guy, if you don't know.
You know, yeah, that's right. I really love that.
I would
that
love to
logo.
reprint that.
It's a cool one.
sick.
I've still got
Best.
one of the hoodie with that at home. It's
No
sick.
way.
Like some kind of post, like World War II propaganda kind of style, like social.
And propaganda was very much
Communist
that was a
kinda-
lot of the theme in the beginning, wasn't it?
That's right. We were very much for the people.
For the people,
And we
yeah.
were looking at a lot of that communist artwork
Yeah,
that
it's
was
great.
for us, those color schemes, the oranges, the kind of faded reds, and then that type of poster art.
And we still use a bit of that.
we still use a bit
Yeah.
of it.
Well, it's still a bit of a baseline for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Block letters and that kind of. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, then we got into the gym, and then we were with Instagram. I can't remember what sort of advice we got at that point, but we knew that it's funny how we started with a lot of our imagery. Like we didn't have a really clear idea of what we were trying to say. Would you agree, Joe?
Yeah.
You know, what were the key things that we were trying to say? We were trying to say too much, you know what I mean? And without a very clear plan on how to, you know, how to share and balance those messages. Would you say?
Yeah, well, we didn't. So we didn't at that point. We didn't understand what marketing really was, and we didn't know that we didn't know that we needed to do it. We were doing it inadvertently through Instagram because at that time it was kind of like, oh, have you seen Instagram? Like it's pretty important. Apparently
That's
it's getting
right.
quite popular. So we're like, oh yeah, let's put some shit on Instagram.
We put up pictures of people working out and
Yeah,
And we
and
all
Facebook.
had access to Instagram account.
Yeah,
Remember
we
that?
all had it. Yep.
So it was just like
Even Coach Phil had it.
someone. It was always just a male with his shirt off training.
Yes. Yep.
It was
It was a highlight of whatever you did that day.
Yeah, that's all it was at some point.
And we were doing Facebook, right? Facebook was really big at that time.
much bigger.
And we were just putting stuff on there. And we had the logo. We really just had the logo because we needed a web page and we needed to get some hoodies made. So we needed something to print on that.
Some legitimacy.
But we did go through those steps of consulting with people. And we did one consultation with Hallie Lara, a friend of mine.
Yep.
Hallie, and I remember she just gave me this document and she's like, and it was like, and it was all quite succinct and clear and whatever. And we paid a bit of money for it. But I was like, I don't know what the fuck any of this shit means. Like target audience, demographics, psychographics. I'm like, what? I don't fucking know, man. We're just
training sessions
We
coming
just
up.
run these 6 sessions. I was like, you should just come to the session. You'll figure out what it is. What do I need to tell you for? That was kind of the attitude. Was like, once people see what we do, like, there's no way we're not going to blow up. And we would later learn that's not really how it works. Not enough, but. I remember those sort of the initial advice we got we didn't really act on it. We didn't really fulfill it. And it was only until we hooked up with Drew and Alchemy Institute that we came to understand it a bit better.
I reckon it had something also to do with the advice that we were getting given, where from there were more blue chip marketers for companies, businesses who kind of came from their platforms for marketing were more traditional types. And when we started, it was at the point where, like we said, Instagram wasn't big at all. Facebook was the main thing, and everyone was trying to figure out Facebook, and it was changing all the time. So people like Drew, because marketing and the avenues and the ability to market and measure and that wasn't available to everyone. It started as Facebook, started to rise. Everything got democratized from, people who want to say something and show what they do to people who market. Now you can market from your laptop. You can do everything from your laptop. So we're in that transition where it was like, we're getting advice from these people who aren't, they weren't, I would say that they didn't have a marketing kind of coach model for, guys like us who were small business owners, who were passionate about training, who own a gym. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Drew was like there talking to the gym owner and trying to make it easy for the gym owner, and he's built a lot of those systems, really cutting away the fat and making the principles really simple for us to catch.
It's true. Yeah, definitely. He had that. But also, if you look at the nature of marketing as as an industry, it was changing radically at that time.
Yeah.
And if you look, you only have to look probably 5 to 10 years prior to that, before really the existence of before the mainstream existence of internet marketing. And it was like billboards, newspaper ads, radio ads.
That's it. TV.
Send flyers out, you make an ad.
We were
put it on
doing
TV.
flyers.
We did some flyers. We did some local
Postcards.
newspaper type stuff.
We got one member from our flyer drops.
Did we?
Yeah. Fuck. Just one.
Who
Just
was
one.
it?
We've done a few over
Mark,
the years.
Remember Mark?
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Remember Mark well. Good man.
Yeah.
Bit of hard work, but good man. But
Where are you now?
But so it's interesting to think, because it's very easy now for people to see, you got social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. That's how we market. That's really the bulk of small business marketing now, and big business too. But prior to those things, it was this whole other realm. So I think, some of these people that we spoke to came from that traditional marketing background that was like, you need to do these expensive, big avenue kind of things. And there's also this thing called Twitter and Instagram, and you should probably do that too. Whereas Drew was like, I'm just going to teach you guys how to do Facebook ads.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to fucking teach you how to do. And I'm going to do it for gyms. So he niched it down and kind of targeted it for us.
And he helped us to define our message and was like forcing us to answer those questions for ourselves.
Yeah.
And cost us a lot of money as well. I mean,
Cost us a lot of money, but yeah.
It made us a lot of money.
Yeah.
It cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
That was originally when we moved into the first gym after the park. It was park, first gym, then this gym.
It was park and first gym together for quite a while.
It was, you're right.
And that time there was also Facebook ads they didn't even exist, I don't think, originally when we first opened, and then they started like 6 months into us running a gym.
I feel like that's true.
There were no,
Yeah,
There's no
ads
Facebook
on
business.
and then it became like because that's what you do, isn't it? You build this big audience, and then once you got this huge audience, you put businesses, you
monetize it.
Yeah, you monetize it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Facebook while we were in the process of building our brand.
Yeah, you're right. Because I remember when it was like, oh, there's Facebook business now. It's like a new web page. You got a different login and shit. It was like, fuck, what's this? And then there's ads manager and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then the algorithms and things went pretty haywire after that.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? Do we talk about? I think that the time that we spent with Drew was a great time for us to, like I said, answer a lot of questions, because our gym was something that was a creative thing plucked out of Tora's head and then from our heads and all put together, and we're trying to work it out at that time. And I thought it was a really good time. Should we talk about that part?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course. Well,
so.
Drew was essentially a guy we knew who had been in the fitness realm. I'd attended one of his workshops and we were connected, but he went into this business coaching thing for gyms. And I remember I think I listened to him on a podcast, and then I think I messaged him. I was like, bro, I love that podcast, whatever. And then he was like, oh, hey man, yeah, you need some help? And I was like, oh, we could always do with help. And he's like, I'll see you on Friday, 2:00. I was like, oh shit. And then he turned up for a meeting with the three of us, and he basically
That's right.
called us out on all of our bullshit. Like, what are you doing for this? What are you doing for this? And we're like, nothing. Don't even know what that is. What the fuck's that? And he's like, cool. How many members have you got in this last month? And we're like, oh, none. And then he's like, all right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach you those things that you don't know, and I'm going to guarantee that you're going to get to
100 members, I think it was.
80 members.
Oh, was it
wasn't
80? It was 80.
We're at like mid-30s or something. And he's like, I'm going to double your membership base. You're going to get to 80
I think it
members.
was 40 to 80, yeah.
And we were like, fucking hell. All right, let's see how we go. And we had to pay him for it, of course. But
And you're going to put your membership rates up.
put them up. That's right. That was our first price rise. So
Like
we were
a-
charging
by a
people like
third.
$30, $35.
Yeah, I think we doubled it. Or
Not quite.
thirded it.
Yeah, it was a big increase. It was like $15, $18
Definitely
a week.
scared the
extra or
shit out of
something.
us.
Scared
Yeah.
the shit out of us. He taught us,
Different mindset at that
we're like, how do we do this? He's like, you're going to send an email to your members. You're going to say these kinds of things in the email. You're going to shoot a video. You're going to articulate the same things in the video. Put the video at the bottom of the page, like step by step. And stuff that we take for granted now, right? Because we just know how to do it. But we did all those things, and price rise was successful. People were like, yeah, I thought you guys should have put your prices up ages ago. Gym's
Yeah.
awesome. And
I think we lost 1 or 2 members.
we lost 2 who both rejoined.
Yeah. At a later date.
Callum and Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And Callum is back in London, and he's still like, I still message with him, and he's like, bro, you guys taught me so much. Like,
Right.
fucking wish
That's
JB's
so
was
cool,
here. Yeah, it's
Callum.
sick. But yeah, so yeah, we lost 2 members who ended up coming back and ended up learning all of these sort of foundational activities that we now use, right? Newsletter, social media, messaging, avatar, psychographic, like demographics, all that
And the
stuff.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when it started to fall more on your shoulders for a couple of reasons. One was you were in the gym full time and putting the time in, and 2, just ended up being a bit of a natural thing for you, talking
Yeah.
in front of camera and wording sentences and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when you took the role off the
That-
rest of us, and we had to consolidate to have the same voice representing
right.
the business, rather than, because it becomes convoluted, doesn't it? When you have 3 different styles of writing, or 3 different, and also 3 different interpretations of the same product. Because if somebody asked the 3 of us, and I know this is supposed to be like one of the worst things, is when 3 people are working in 3 different directions in the one business. Everyone should know exactly what the business represents and where it should be going. it's never been that way for us. We've always been tugging in different directions, ever so slightly, but heading in the same direction, but different ways. And this is, and we find that happy medium, which in turn is like just us challenging each other to be and with that we find the most productive and most creative and the most direct way forward. You know.
Yeah.
But someone had to be able to present that to the public, and coming from 3 different people, or wasn't it was 4 at the time.
To God, don't you remember some of those meetings?
Man.
Like where we were butting heads or just seeing things differently. One, at that stage, I think we all had I feel like we're a lot more mature with.
They're still the same. We just hide it better.
No, we've for the most part, like we detach. We do our best to detach emotion from things and see it for what the value of it.
Yeah.
And now we can actually come together and have a little bit of the thing and then come out with the result a lot quicker. Whereas our meetings used to go for freaking ages.
Oh, fuck.
And most of it because it was just a bit frictiony.
In that little hot box of an office.
Fucking hell.
Just sweating up
Don't
there.
remember long meetings and
On the floor.
Yeah. I mean, they were just kind of open-ended, weren't they?
open-ended. Yeah,
No
that's
agenda,
right.
just talking about stuff, raising issues, and kind of not really understanding that we had to come up with some kind of action off the back of it, so that it could be addressed. And I mean, that's something we take almost that sort of thing is what we take for granted, right? That someone had to tell us, when you have meetings, you should like schedule them like a start and an end time, and you should have like an agenda that you follow and
some action tasks.
We're like, wow, fuck, yeah,
Something down after.
simple shit, right? Which it'd be really funny if someone who's like got an MBA or something is listening to this because they're like, you guys are fucking rookies.
Yeah.
But it's the interesting thing. Yeah, it's like,
can you lift a barbell?
well, you can learn it. You can learn it in a formalized environment and then go start a business, or you can start a business and then go fucking learn it while you're in the fire and then hopefully find your way out of it.
Yeah, we must have wasted a lot of time.
A lot.
Back then.
But
we had
imagine
time
if
to
we
waste
had
as
imagine
well.
if we had been studying business for 5 years and then decided to open Jungle Brothers.
Yeah.
We would have been so more rigid in our ideas.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's such a trade-off there.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't change it.
No, nor would I.
We wouldn't have what we've got today. If
Well, we waste time and money, but fuck. I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah, so that role started to fall into your lap.
Yeah.
You took it.
Yeah.
In a way, like, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It was like it needed to be done. Like you turned around and said, "Look," and I think Paul kind of backed that up. He said, "I'm going to take over being the voice for the business. Needs to be one person." And I have a feeling that Drew might have been saying that to you as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously he was looking at our stuff, and the stuff you were putting up was the stuff that was speaking to the public better.
Well, yeah, and I was, and there were events and stuff
You
with
were there
him,
for all
and
of
I
them.
had to go to those. I was kind of the
Yeah.
guy. All 3 of us usually couldn't be there, so it was just I was getting the information. Yeah, it seemed like the
You
best
were
way to
also
go.
making a lot of progress with your own training at the time.
Yeah,
Because you'd put your head down, you're doing like 4-hour stints, and the jits was moving real quick. So there was a storyline of your own that started to develop on social media, and that's now become part of
Yeah.
your,
You had a training vlog.
training blog.
Still out
training
there.
blog was prior.
Yeah, it's
Adventures
sure,
in
sure.
training, but
yeah,
it's true. Yeah,
there was an interest
but
there.
it kind of
Yeah.
came
No?
over.
It's true.
Yeah.
There was more
Yeah.
of an interest there for you than it was for the three.
Well, I was in
the three of us.
another industry
Yeah.
Yeah.
for a lot longer.
Paul was still deep in the trenches. I was kind of like halfway between wherever. And
Yeah, you were like half there, half fitness first.
and Betsy, our 4th business partner, even now with a successful gym, his social media presence is just as much as it needs to be for him to kind of keep moving forward. But it was never the powerhouse that Jungle Brothers has now. It was never
Yes.
going to be that. And I think when you've got something like that, you need someone behind it driving it, and that became you.
Yeah.
When you decided to take that role, was it influenced by someone else, or was it something that you wanted to do, or did you just feel like, okay, this has to be done, no one else wants to fucking do it, so I'm just gonna step up and take it?
I can't actually remember I don't actually remember the time, like of taking it over or sort of adopting it as my own. So it's hard to say, but I guess it was just, I think I saw it as the only option because, I was there all the time and I was, so, at that point, you and IT were really guiding the business, and Paul was a part of it, but not working in it.
Yeah.
So Paul was kind of like, yeah, whatever you
just
guys
let me
say
know
we're
what
doing.
I need to do.
Yeah. So we were really directing the ship, and then I was on the ship every day.
Yeah.
I'm there, I'm coaching class in the park. I remember it was 5 days of classes between the gym and the park thing. Maybe it was 6. Anyway, so it was just no one else can do it. And I don't know, but I don't know. Were you even using? I don't know if you were really using Instagram.
No, I wasn't on Insta.
Yeah.
I was on Facebook, and it was very sporadic and not so. Yeah, I didn't really understand the tool, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the stuff I was posting was terrible. I mean, it still is. I still don't understand.
It's got its own flavour. Oh, damn, it's got its own flavour. Just like that cream from Tilba. But so I was like, well, it can only be me,
Yeah.
And I guess, and I had no issues with that at all. I was like super happy to, because all I was learning, everything I was learning was telling me, you don't fucking know anything, and there's all this shit that you're doing poorly, and someone needs to do it yesterday. And so I'm like, I'm going to do it. Like, it's me, I'm here kind of thing. So yeah, so it was kind of an easy transition in that regard. And I guess, and I felt confident because we were the ones kind of steering the ship. I knew what the message was. Like, we had the most amount of clarity on it out of the three of us. So I was like, cool, I can tell that story.
And what, tell us more about the message. I mean, we've talked about where it was, but where is it now?
Well, clearly it's
We
amazing.
can jump forward and back. Oh, it's not like a
can do that.
linear fucking story.
No, move wherever you like.
It's a Guy Ritchie film, this podcast.
Do you like dogs? It's so where it is now is we got a few main avenues of marketing, right? So if we kind of lay it out for folks, you have all of those traditional realms: newspaper, magazines, billboards, whatever. Or you have the more kind of the new stuff, which is now just the stuff really: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google, email marketing. And then you have other things that say we do, like this podcast. This is a form of marketing. And then you have like local area stuff, which might be fly drops or banners or collaborations with local businesses, whatever. So, I would consider them our main avenues. And we just try to, through those avenues, we just try to send our message so that it gets to people. And you can't, the frustration with marketing is that it's very hard to tell everyone who you are. Right, I had a guy join the gym 2 weeks ago. He was frothing so hard from the first phone call we had to when he signed up for his membership. He's just frothing, and he's like, "Bro, this is the sickest fucking gym." He's like, "Man, I can't believe I've never heard of you guys. You need to do more marketing." Apparently, you can put ads out on Instagram and Facebook, and they just like you don't even have to spend that much. Like you should try putting some ads out. It was Leo, and I was like. I wanted to tell him, bro, shut the fuck up. All right, I fucked around with these ads. They're not as easy as they sound. Like we've spent fucking tens of thousands of dollars on those ads. But I'm like, it points to there's still so many people who just don't know of our existence. And you're like, fuck, I just wish I could tell everyone of our existence. So what you're really trying to do that, and you're trying to then, you can't tell everyone because the avenues don't allow you to tell everyone because the purveyors of those avenues, so the people who run YouTube, the people who run Instagram, Facebook, they understand that it is very valuable for you to get that message out to folks. So they value it very highly. They charge a lot for it, and they charge more than you can spend, right? So then you as a business owner have to decide, well, how much do I have to spend and how valuable is it to me to tell people of this message? And you don't want people who aren't a good fit for your business to get the message, because that's a wasted sending of the message. You want to send, if it were like a message in a fucking pigeon, you would want to send it to the person that really is going to come to your gym and be like that guy that's like, mate, this is the sickest fucking gym ever. Sign me up for 10 years. So there's this constant battle of like trying to be effective with it, like cost effective, but then also clear in what you're telling people so that they understand, right? So they understand, holy shit, this place is about strength and mobility and community, sustainability. It's awesome. I want to be a part of it. You might have the avenues right, but you might fuck the message up, and then you get it out to someone and they're like, wow, they look like a bunch of fucking bodybuilders. All I see is dudes with their top off doing heavy shit that I can't do, you know, but really you were trying to tell them something else, but maybe you just didn't articulate it right. So there's this this is kind of the battle, you know, and I guess those avenues are like the battles that I'm trying to fight on for us.
And what about the message? What are you trying to tell people? Actually, before we go into the message, what is that person that you're trying to? Who is he? Her, him, her. That you're sending this message in via pigeon to.
All right. So so you could say like there's a male and a female version, but they're between 25 and 35 years old. Training history, they've definitely trained at some gyms before. They've done a bit of time at like a big Globo gym, like a fitness first kind of thing. You know, maybe had a little bit of success with it, but really didn't find it very fulfilling. Found it a bit weird because no one talks to each other there and everyone's looking in the mirror and it's just a strange environment. So, you know, they tried some other things. They did CrossFit for a little while, kind of liked it, liked the team kind of aspect of it, the community thing, but found that it was just a bit too competition based and they kind of would hurt their back often and get these sort of recurring little niggling injuries and just like, fuck, I really love it, but it just doesn't seem like it's kind of the right thing for my body. You know, and they've had a bit of experience in combat as well. So they, you know, took some jiu-jitsu classes, really loved it, never really stuck with it, but just kind of dig that side of training. And so they are looking for something that can sort of fill a gap and they're not really sure what that gap is. They like spending on their health, so they really value their health and well-being. And they really don't mind spending money on things that nourish them. So they buy good food. They don't mind going to like a really sick cafe once, twice a week and you know, spending $35-40 on breakfast. Like they're into nice things and they're into looking after themselves and they're into a bit of self-development and all those things. And they like being around people. They get nourishment from being around others and that energizes them, and they recognize whether consciously or unconsciously that being around other people who are like them brings positive energy to their life. So that's really, you know, who we're kind of looking for. And it could be experience with the fight thing, like I said, or maybe they had experience with weightlifting, or maybe they were a gymnast as a child and they want to kind of revisit that. So they're not necessarily a fan of everything we do, but like most of what we do appeals to them. And they're like, oh, fuck yeah, I'd love to do a handstand again. Or, yeah, I'm down to try a kickboxing class. That's how I see it.
And that's our avatar.
That's our avatar.
And you can still fit within, like you like when you say between 25, 35, we've got lots of people outside of that age bracket and that don't necessarily fit that mold, but it's a mindset, isn't it?
Well, it's a marketing choice.
Yeah, and also the people that are a little bit older are generally young at heart, and the kids that come in that are under are quite mature for their age. So they're still sitting in that bracket, but they're just that personality type.
Yeah, there might be one or two variables that don't match, but really, but
they do.
That's right. On a human level, they're they're there, and that again goes back to that idea of you have to choose your avenues and choose what to spend on, because you can't. It's hard to talk to everyone.
Yes.
So you could say, like, if we had an infinite marketing budget, we might spend 70% of our marketing budget talking to the 25 to 35 year olds, but then we might spend 10% talking to 35 to 50 year olds, 10% talking to 20 to 25 year olds,
Yeah.
But because we don't, we just go, all right, we're just going to hit this section, and then the outliers or the people who are outside of that will find their way to us.
Now, one of our strongest tools would be referrals, would you say?
Yeah.
So how does that work?
We've been through a bit of kind of work on the referral side of things, and I think we've tried many times over the years to consciously get people to give us referrals. So, you know, we'd run like a referral campaign, or we'd run like there's a prize, like, hey, recommend a friend in the next couple of months and we'll give you, you know, whatever, this awesome gift, or we'll give you some money, or, you know, we'll give you something just to incentivize people to go and tell their friends about us. But what we found is that our people generally don't really care much about, they don't want reward for their referral. And it's almost like, I think in a way, our people feel like that detracts from their contribution to our gym. Like their contribution is, no, I told my friend because I think it's a fucking awesome gym. I don't want payment for this or reward. I'm doing it off my own back. It's a gift for you guys kind of thing. So
It's true, huh?
It is, yeah.
And
Because
they want to train with their buddy.
well, they want their friends
Yeah.
here, yeah, and but they kind of want to like take that action off their own back. So the referral thing just has always happened naturally for us. People tell their friends about it, and then their friends get in touch and go, "Oh, I'm a friend of so and so's. They've been telling me all about it." Or maybe our member will say, "Hey, my friend's interested. Here's their phone number. Give them a call." I feel like we've just always had a steady stream of referrals come through. Now, why does that happen? I think that's something that's very hard for us to identify beyond we do a fucking awesome job and we really try to deliver on as many different things within the gym as we can. Great programs, great social atmosphere, great music, great coaches, you know, good vibes, funny jokes, like all of the things we do, a clean gym, space, cool, like all that stuff contributes to people wanting to tell their friends about us. What would you say?
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think when you want to refer somebody, you're actually giving to the person that's coming. Like it's a gift to that person. Like I go try something awesome, and Paul, you got to come to this gym. It's fucking going to be good for you. I want you to come to this gym because I want to give you that experience that I've just been through. And if it becomes like you were saying, a sale for me, so I can capitalize on something, it's almost like if you're not that kind of person, it can be a little bit off-putting, you know?
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that what we do here is actually given to people, other people want their friends or family members to come in because it's almost like they know that how good it's going to be for them, you know, and they're sharing something really cool, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like one thing, what I'd say is, and it's kind of bridging the gap between marketing and sales, which are two different departments, but almost the same because they cross over. Was something that it took me a while to learn coming into this job and this role, learning how to sell and not being someone who thinks they could sell anything, coming from a kind of humble family type culture, always giving things away and then having to try and sell on the phone or to people. And I know it was work we did with Drew on sales, and it definitely helped me. It was the idea of what I've got here is of value to people. And we're lucky because we're not pushing some chemical product to people that, you know, is just trying to make a buck. And we've decided to place ourselves in an industry where we're doing great things in the world and for individuals, and we're sending a better message out there to the rest of the big tribe. So for us, I think we represent a very unique whole that people have a void thing that they're not getting in their world. Like loads of people out there don't have a community at all. And we just have that here. Loads of people don't treat themselves as in look after their own body or spend any time doing any sort of movement and some time to think about their movement and whatnot. So we have actually a thing that's different to all the other products out there, as in, you know, in the general market of things and items and clothes and materialistic things. So we have that special thing. So when people come here and they feel that gap or that thing and it makes them feel that way, I think that, people just want to share that with their loved ones.
Special.
And usually our referral campaigns, the copy is like that, isn't it? It's like you want to give someone that you know and love the same feeling that you've gotten here, then you should tell someone.
Yeah.
And it's quite an easy thing to put to people.
Yeah, it is. And I guess the beauty of the referral thing is that somebody who's really energized about their experience here can if they're trying to convey that to another person, they're probably not going to quite hit the mark because they're not going to be able to describe it in the way that, say, we would, or the way that I would as a marketing person. But it's almost doesn't matter because it's more about the human kind of emotional thing where it's just like, man, it's just fucking awesome. Like, it's the sickest thing. You know, they haven't really said anything besides it's great. So that, I think that's really powerful for folks. It makes me think about, with the marketing, like our message, right, which you kind of touched on before, which is strength, mobility, reconnecting with your physicality, being able to express yourself, being part of something that's bigger than you, you know, both being part of a community, but also being part of something that's supporting a healthy ecosystem and living in that way. Like, it's a huge message. There's so much to say there. And if you take your mind to, like, you're scrolling through Facebook and you see an ad and it's like a picture of a gym and it says, join a community of awesome people and, you know, get mobile and learn permaculture and grow your own food and whatever, you're just going to, most people are going to be like, that's fucking lame. Like, it doesn't speak to people. So the tricky part there is that you might have a message, but the message might be slightly different to what it actually is once they get in here. Because we've said this the other day, there's only been 2 people or a couple of people that have come to our gym that have said to us consciously, when we asked them why they came here, they said, I'm here for community. Everybody else that's come, besides those 2, so all the other hundreds of people over the years, have come for, like, I want to get fitter, I want to lose weight, I just want to get a bit strong, right? Get an exercise. Strong mobile. So, but I don't hear mobile much. That's usually my words. You get mobile, or you get when you say, oh, like mobility, and they're like, yeah.
No, I get it's that message is now really hitting the mark. Yeah, strength, right. Mobility are the 2.
People know that word these days. They didn't originally.
They're the 2 words that people tell me when they, because I'm obviously the sales guy at the moment, and any new member that or potential lead that comes to the gym, it's the first thing I ask them, like, what do you want out of your training? And it's generally strength and mobility. So that's the want, isn't it? But but then we look in what you're talking about. That subcontext is the need, in a way.
Yeah, and it's the need, but it's also the thing that they just didn't know they wanted.
Yeah,
they just didn't know.
It's what we know they need,
and it's because too, like, people, you know, we're probably not that great. A lot of us aren't quite self-aware enough to really isolate or identify what it is that we want. And so you come to a gym to meet with a coach about training and they say, what do you want? And you're thinking, oh, what fitness type thing do I want?
Yeah.
Right. It's so, and I think about, like, with churches and stuff, they kind of, I don't really look at church marketing, but I'm guessing, like, you know, if you take like that kind of that extreme end where it's like, come to church and you won't go to hell. And you're like, I'll go to church. And then when you get in there, they're probably not talking about going to hell and fire and brimstone. They're talking about community and being kind to your brother and, you know, not coveting thy neighbor's wife and all that.
And then have a good chat with everyone after and a cup of tea and
bake off and it's this community thing. So, and the people are like, oh, I love going to church. And it's no longer, oh, I go there because I don't want to go to hell. It's like, no, I go there because it's fucking awesome and my friends are there. So I think it's the same thing with Jungle Brothers. So the challenge with the marketing is, like, without being a creep and without being dishonest to the values of the brand, how do you speak to people on that kind of subconscious sort of primal level about the things that they want? They want to lose weight. They want to get strong. They want to feel more confident about how they look and how they perform. They want to be in less pain day to day. But without being an asshole and saying, like, you're overweight and you've got poor health and, you know, here's the answer kind of thing. Like, that's a real tricky part. And I think that it's a battle that any kind of business, especially a gym, has to face, because you can't just, and we did this for a long time, you can't just tell them exactly what it is that you do, because sometimes that's not sexy enough. They have to experience that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And then I guess within that imagery or the wording, then that comes the core values of our business model as well, or Jungle Brothers, which at this stage, you know, we're summing it up in community, sustainability, and expression. Tell us about expression, Paul. What do we mean by that?
Oh, that's a kind of an umbrella-y term for a few things. I immediately think about the movement aspect or the physical aspect of it, because it's part of the spheres that we drew up for folks who come into the gym, and how they can see, you know, their time spent here, and that's across. How does it go again, Joe? We got the physicality triangle with the
adaptable, expression,
yes,
and robust.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, there's the physical aspects of expression and building a place that allows people to do that, and that means we're going to take care of that car in the garage, and look after your mechanics and build strength and stuff, but also being able to take that and doing something creative to it, which I think is a much more human thing, and it's a natural thing that I think that everyone in some part of their selves, I think happiness is tied up with, you know, being able to express yourself, and I think expressing yourself physically is hugely satisfying, rather than just, you know, being a painter or a singer or something like that. Being able to have a dance, or being able to fight and move with someone on the mat, sparring or otherwise, I feel like for me that's definitely very important. It's what motivates me kind of the most, or should I say that I'm attracted to the most when I think of gyms. So there's that aspect of it. But I also think that our community, I step outside of just the physical part, is it's a community in which we give people a platform to express themselves, as in we have Christmas parties, we have gym build days, or we have the gardening aspect where people can come, people can cook, and, you know, they can cook things that they love to cook, and they want to have people eat it.
Yeah.
People just don't have people to cook for necessarily. And when they come here and they get to put it down and everyone has a break, you know, I think that definitely goes a long way. That person feels amazing when that happens. So it's just it's a community hub where people can come in and do things like that.
And there's a huge element of acceptance with the word like expression, self-expression, like to be able to go into a space and know you're not going to get judged for doing something. Firstly, if you are interested in expressing yourself a certain way, you may not be some physical specimen, or maybe you are, and you're a powerhouse on the barbell, but you're too scared to have a dance because you know you're going to look like a bloody
powerlifter trying to dance.
Yeah. But here you can come in and you could do that, and you know people will have a laugh.
Yeah.
But you're never going to be judged for it. Like I came in the other day and there's like Paul and Ty were breakdancing on the platform out the front. Marco was working on his handstands. The straps are out. You're up the back with a new member. There was some people rolling. There was Mark Milton and his son, and they were having a real intimate moment on the mats together in their gi. Who's introducing him to jiu-jitsu, and they were just talking, sitting. And then there was a couple other little things going on. And I looked around. I was like,
someone hitting the bag, someone lifting some weights.
Yes, it was so amazing, and every single element, each person was deep within their own practice. You know, sharing knowledge. There's a lot of sharing, and learning more about each other, and having this space where they could express themselves was just like, okay, it's working. You know, and the energy in the room just felt so inviting, you know?
Yeah.
Came in, I could fucking do anything right now. No one's going to bat an eyelid.
Nah, so true.
Could just like run naked through the gym.
Christmas
and no one even know I was there.
It's because you do it every third day. I'll tell you again.
It's training.
But it's such a lovely, lovely environment. And I think for mental health, for growth, so, you know, to be able to take that step and know that you can start a new form of discipline, or you can practice something that you can't do in your standard gym, and people aren't going to judge you for it, you know?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's true. And that really is like at the heart of the expression thing, isn't it? It's like, man, it's open, there's no judgment, there's a multitude of things being developed here, and you're not going to be good at all of them. So embrace that everyone kind of sucks at something different.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty of it.
And there's times where you look at something and you're like, it might even build that little bit of judgmental side of you, like I don't like what that person's doing over there, that particular style of movement or discipline or whatever it is. But you kind of you got to swallow it a little bit,
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that, and that just helps you build levels of tolerance for each other.
And we have standards within that, right?
Always,
like if someone's doing dog shit exercise, we'll say, hey, leave.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop
no more.
now.
Yeah. But yeah, that's right. It's like it does force you to become open and tolerant.
Open and tolerant, and also allows our own brand, our own programming and exercise design evolve because of the fact we haven't locked our doors to the outside world. We're not strength and conditioning, and we're not jiu-jitsu, and we're not gymnastic strength training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we can take from all of those, whatever the hell we want, apply it how we like. And this in turn allows us to create something better,
Yeah.
And this is, and it comes back to the message, self-expression.
Yeah, so like say that as a thing, right? Like what you just mentioned, it's very hard to articulate that to someone who doesn't know anything about us.
We just did, man.
Yeah.
Just put that in the
core values.
Right? But it's hard. I mean, you can tell them, you can talk about expression, but they're like, yeah. What's the training? And so at a point you have to say, oh, well, it's jiu-jitsu, it's Thai boxing.
That's right.
Gymnastics, weightlifting, mobility work. And then, you have to talk to them in language that they're like, okay, I understand those things, and I want those. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in. And then when they're in here, then you're like, well, this is kind of how it plays out.
Yeah.
And
We fight, we lift, and then we moved.
Yeah.
But with the other parts, the sustainability?
Sustainability, I guess that's just recognition of the systems that support us. And the systems of breathing fresh air, drinking clean water, eating, quality from a quality food source. It's pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
And an acknowledgement of that and how important that is for health, which is something that, I believe the rest of almost all of the fitness industry turns their back on in a way. They don't want to recognize it because it's too big a subject. But you can go deep into nutrition, you can go deep into exercise prescription and repetitions and the rest of it. But none of that means shit if you can't breathe fresh air and drink clean water and eat quality food source from a quality food source,
This is true.
So we want to change that.
The sustainability piece also has a bearing on the training aspect of it, which is training in a way that's sustainable, right? Doing something that has longevity to it, understanding what your body's needs are, so like the physical systems, you could say. Going back to that avatar example, it's like, it might be really great if you love like training at a really competitive CrossFit gym, but how long are you actually going to be able to do that for? Anyone that's done it, there's a limited time frame. So it's like, all right, well, what are you going to do and how are you going to shape your training and approach to it so that you can do the thing that you love forever? You can spar once a week, until the day you die.
Definitely.
Or you can train jiu-jitsu or whatever it is.
And really all of that comes down to it's foresight, isn't it? Having like asking yourself, where am I going to be in 5 years' time if I continue this particular practice or part of my life? 10 years' time, 20 years' time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, but foresight and as well, like just education around it.
Education.
Like, because it's really easy to think like, oh, I'm fucking bashing it out, training 5 times a week. I'm getting super fit. Like, man, if I keep going at this rate, I'm going to be like crazy fit in 18 months. And then you're fucking injured. And it's like, oh, okay, if your physiological development doesn't really happen like that. So you got to pick some stuff that's challenging and tough and whatever, but you've also got to make time for recovery and look after those things as well. And if you balance those two things well and you train intelligently, and that means movement patterns that are correct for you and someone that can coach you and look at you and those sorts of things, and you apply that with the recovery stuff on top, then your chances of success and long-term kind of adherence to this process are greater. And I think for a lot of people, and this is maybe a little bit off topic, but the fitness thing is, They don't see it as, they don't quite understand that there is a balance between the challenge, but then also the recovery and that side of it. And it's just like hardcore challenge all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Moving well.
Yes.
And then obviously we've got community, which we've already kind of been through, but I think, and we've talked about this quite a few times on our podcast, that how important it is to have connection for your health, for health. And when you look at these things like community, expression, sustainability, the exercise is almost like, just the cream on top, isn't it? I mean, without those fundamentals, you can train all you like, and it's not going to be doing shit. It's not going to do anything. Yeah, you know. Yeah, you've got to have that foundation.
It's kind of the thing that brings everyone together.
Yeah, yeah, and we found that over COVID. You know, how and that really tested our business model. You know, and I made comparisons between how we handled COVID and how other gyms handled COVID, and it was very obvious that the gyms that did not have good connection, good community, didn't do as well as the ones that did. It was as simple as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's nothing holding you there except for the cheap membership, and you like using their bench press machine.
That's right.
Yeah,
the bonds. There's no glue holding that together, and I think it exposed a lot of models out there that that are quite vulnerable, to be honest, and we didn't go through the same thing. Our model was robust.
No, our community was never stronger than during COVID.
Yeah,
this is true.
So we're looking now, coming back to now, and you, Joe, have you've got your own personal Instagram account, which you manage on a daily, weekly kind of level. Then you've got Bulletproof for BJJ, which is another, it's your side hustle or your personal business, which is training or getting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners are strong again, or strong and mobile.
Yep.
And then
let him sell it.
And then you've got you've got JBs as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're managing the three of these accounts together, using a very similar method to advertise the three, I guess. And you cop a lot of scrutiny from us, like regularly. And I think this comes back to the fact that both myself and Paul and you feel very, very strongly about the business that we represent, and we want it represented well and true to our own personal interpretation of what that business is. How do you, when you work through this process of us constantly telling you what we don't like and not telling you what we want, how do you work through that? Because it's quite emotionally charged at times.
Yeah, so I guess I'll answer in two parts, because I see one part as the management of the three different sort of brands, and then also how do I deal with like you guys and your requests and conflict if it when it arises. So the management of the three brands is like my personal Instagram is in a way quite easy, because I can just put whatever I want out there. Anything that's relevant to me, my thoughts, my viewpoints on anything, as long as I believe that, it would be interesting to see what I would be saying if I was like an extreme right winger or something and expounding fucking hardcore or even hardcore left views on my Instagram, because that would have an effect on our brand, right? Like, oh, this guy's a bit fucking extreme. But, I feel like I'm pretty confident in most of my values and most of my beliefs around training and whatnot. So I don't mind expounding that stuff. And, my Instagram handle is JB Joey. So it's like Jungle Brothers Joey, right? So, but the beauty is I can just talk about whatever I want. I fucking talk about a movie I watched, I can talk about an athlete that I like, talk about this awesome meal that I just cooked. Stuff that's not relevant to like our brand, right? But it's relevant to me. Bulletproof for BJJ, it's one thing that's simple about that in comparison to Jungle Brothers is that it's a very simple product. It's just a training program for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, and that's all it is. And all I'm doing is telling them this is what you need to do to be strong and mobile for jiu-jitsu, and this is our program, and join it. And that's it. And I'm just putting out a message around that. When it comes to Jungle Brothers, the message is everything we just articulated, right? Strength, mobility, community connection, sustainability. You know, our new merchandise, the garden that's getting built, the deck that just went up, the jiu-jitsu program, you know, the podcast. Like there's all these, there's so much, the business, the brand is so rich now. There's so much happening within it. So I'm trying to like tell the story. And I've been thinking about this since you kind of, since we've been talking about it in recent weeks. And what is challenging in that process is that you get feedback from social media. So when I post, I can post a video that is like, here's a great example. Here's 3 hip stretches for BJJ. And the cover of the video is hip stretches for BJJ. And I post these 3 stretches and I get like 300 likes and I get 50 comments. And I can see that heaps of people have shared it. And they're like, this is fucking awesome. You helped them so much. Thanks, man. You guys changed, you know, you're like, oh, wow. Like this is really hitting the mark. I'm going to keep talking to these guys, you know? So then like a couple of days later, I'll put out 3 shoulder stretches for BJJ and it just, you know, goes on. But with Jungle Brothers, I can be like the same thing. Here's 3 stretches for your hips because you got tight hips from lifting too much. And you get like 50 likes and you get like 1 comment and it's from a member at your gym who comments on everything. And you're like, you know, they're just your stable rock comment person. And you're like, fuck, you're like, that didn't hit the mark with anyone. So it just drops your energy. You're like, well, I'm not going to bother shooting those 3 hip stretches because no one likes it. Now, what's happening there is that the market for Jungle Brothers is so saturated. There's so many gyms out there. There's so many fitness influencers. There's so much material already on Instagram. And this is just one avenue, right, that we're discussing. But there's already so much on there that your message is quite diluted. And it's like, big shit, man. I've seen fucking, 10 videos that were like 4 stretches for the hip. So I don't want to watch your 3, you know? So it kind of, as a person, it hits you like as the person doing it, like, oh, well, fuck, I'm missing the mark here. All right, well, I guess I won't do those videos. I'll have to do something else, you know? And so you try something else. So this is where like that platform really favors the niche. And if you look at the jiu-jitsu strength and mobility, that's a hardcore niche, right? So it's so narrowed down. But if you look at Jungle Brothers, we're niche in a way, but we're also not. Because it is like bodyweight strength, weightlifting, jiu-jitsu, fight, community, all these things.
Yeah.
So I have a constant kind of conflict in my head about like, is this even worthwhile? Is this worth my time? Is Instagram a waste of time? This 30 minutes that it just took me to make this post that didn't really seem to do anything. Is that worth it? Or should I spend that 30 minutes like writing an email and sending that to our email base and saying, oh, hey guys, we got a mental health first aid workshop coming up, like sign up for it, whatever, or here's a new membership offer or something. So for me, there's always this back and forth and there's never really a consistent line across those 3 of like, oh, this is how I manage A, B, and C.
Right.
Because it's constantly dynamic. The second part, which was about like you guys, I guess I accept that there's always going to be those moments where I might say something or do something that doesn't quite hit the mark for you guys and that you guys are going to tell me, be like, bro, that's fucked. I didn't agree with that. And I think that's just how it has to be, right? If you're representing a brand that is as kind of dynamic as ours, it is as young as ours, and I'm also representing it in a way that's like, it's not, we don't have like a system of operations and like a marketing handbook and like strict parameters. We're creating new products all the time. Like, last year we didn't have an internship, or, 2 years ago we didn't have an internship. 4 years ago we didn't have a podcast. We personal training wasn't a big focus, up until really a few years ago. So all of these things as they evolve become something that needs to be included in that messaging. So I feel like I never feel any particular concern for you guys. I just kind of leave the ball in your court to tell me when something hasn't done right, and then I guess we have a conversation about it, and I try and justify it to you.
I mentioned the three avenues because they're almost three different hats. And what I find when I scroll through social media, I see all three hats, but I see them through the eyes of that's my business partner, and everything should be Jungle Brothers. You know what I mean? And it's it's a selfish side of me. And when I see something I don't see Bulletproof or JB Joey or Jungle Brothers. I just see Jungle Brothers.
You see,
that's all I see. And it's narrow-minded and it's probably a little bit selfish, but I also know that they're so interconnected that a lot of other people would probably be thinking on a similar similarly. Is that a word?
Yep.
Word, eh?
Yep.
So when I see something, I almost can't distinguish the difference between the three. And at times, and I know from personal experience, there's things that I see and I'm like, that's not Jungle Brothers. You know what I mean? And it frustrates me. And I'm like, okay, this is not how I would want my business represented. I don't know how I want it represented. That's not what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I have to, question myself on why am I feeling this way. It gets quite emotional. Like there's a little bit of a roller coaster there because it's almost like, you put all this hard work into your own business and then you have to hand that over to someone else and have faith that they are going to represent all that hard work without your input. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In the way that you want it to be.
In the way that you want it. But, I don't sit down with you and tell you how I want that to be because I don't really, in a way, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I just know what I don't like. I don't know what I want. You know what I mean?
Is that friction that you feel, does it come from so you see say my three different things and you're like, he's putting more time somewhere else than into my business? Or is it really about the messaging and you're like, that thing that he said there, that's not Jungle Brothers?
I think that it would be easy for me to say all of it. You know what I mean? If I let myself go into that space and I could be thinking, wow, it could even go into a space where I'm like feeling envious that this man is representing my business and I'm not getting the recognition that I deserve for being on the front line and getting shit done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have to check myself on that because I know deep down that you want the best for me as a business partner and a best mate, and I know that you want we all have the same goals in mind. We want this business to be successful and we're all working within our department to do that. And I know that this doesn't just happen one way. I know it happens other ways as well. Like when I'm in gym build and then you guys will want to come in and leave your mark on it because I'm just fucking, going crazy and spending all this money on what my image is and how it all goes together. And then it's like, fuck, I need to be involved in that little bit there because I don't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm.
And in reality, it's so minor and really nobody notices the difference but it becomes something,
Yeah.
Paul, you had some issues with Joe recently about social media and just the way things were kind of playing out.
Yeah, it was probably the same as what you're talking about there. And I know what you're saying. It's kind of like three people. If three dudes had a child together and you're all trying to raise that child. Like being, in a relationship, you have a child and you're rearing that child and you and your wife, as much as you have in common, there's lots of things that you see differently on. You're always toing and froing between those things. And I can see this little thing that she does is like, well, I see it in the future for when they're older. I'm like, that doesn't serve my kid right. So you have the same level of passion for the business because we have reared this thing from the start. So I think that what happens there and the feelings you've had and when we had these conversations and when I had something to bring up with Joe, I feel like the friction happens. It's actually there's a system there that we haven't really written out clearly, or we kind of do, but probably didn't stay accountable to. And that is when we see something, you give him the feedback, you have the discussion, and then you come to an agreement, and then you evolve from there. You know what I mean? And that's what's happening. So he's saying, yeah, we give him that feedback. And then, yeah, and what happened with me was, I think you just stopped giving the feedback. And it was part of, we're just so busy. We're quite busy. It's hard to catch each other.
Just came out of COVID.
Just came out of COVID. We're hardly seeing each other. So we're physically apart. And then there's just less time. So then it just builds up. So I feel like that feedback loop and that evolution doesn't get space to breathe.
The pressure valve.
Then it just builds up. And then, it's like you were saying, like, yeah, as soon as that thread just grabs, then it just keeps going, and then the original thought that you had kind of just gets poisoned, you know what I mean?
And you can lose sleep over it.
You can. Yeah, you can. And then if you're and that's what's the word? When you see something and it just kind of rots, So I guess it's the same thing as you. It's like with those three brands, it's not so much that I'm thinking, oh, he's putting more time into that, but it's like I just want all that time to go to us because I'm jealous. Yeah. I'm like the jealous guy who wants all the attention on my kid, type thing. But I reconciled a lot, and you actually taught me a lot of, like, it was just when you're in that headspace, you can just see something poorly, but there's some realities of it. It's like, for one, I see all that stuff all the time because I'm obviously you guys are in my algorithm all the time. So
that's the other thing.
You have to take that into consideration.
See everything.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what everyone else is saying.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a bit situational there. And if we can constantly give the feedback, and that's kind of where we got to, which was if we see something in the marketing that we think needs changing, we're gonna bring that up on a more immediate kind of timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's other variables involved here. I mean, the fact that we're all very close mates, and I mean, you guys have even more history together. I think I can see now how businesses can crumble as they start to grow and evolve. And you hear about these success stories, and then I mean, F45 again is another example when something grows
as they blow
rapidly, and then all of a sudden it's just like, they've just ousted one guy and the other one's, fucking...
I don't think there was any friendship behind that. It's purely financial.
Well, that's it. But this is a relationship.
That's right. It drives people become incentivized by certain things. And
and if you don't build strong relationships with the partnerships, whether it's like at home with your wife or in your business relationships, then it starts to come apart, And if you don't have the glue there when you go through tough times like we went through within our own circles, then it could be enough to break those ties,
Yeah.
So when you do have the strong bonds and you have the good quality relationships, they can be tested, but they don't break, they bend, and then you learn from it,
Yeah, and hopefully they become stronger.
Yeah. And I remember actually talking to you on the mezzanine about you and Paul, and just asking how you guys were going because there were issues there. And I said, how do you feel like when you come out of this where you guys were going for a little bit of inner conflict? And you said, I think we'll be stronger than we've ever been. And it was just a really lovely moment. And I just felt, it felt good,
Yeah.
It made me rest at night knowing that my business is torn apart by 3 bits.
We always said, it was relationships before business.
Yeah.
We've never really, I don't think we've ever seriously had to test that vow that we made at the beginning.
No. Well, it's just there. It's a foundation, isn't it?
But not, I mean, like you kind of touched on it before, it's not like it doesn't boil over often. But it can be something that you feel, there's something starting to grow.
Yeah.
If I don't check that thing.
Yeah.
Like a little seedling kind of thing. You're like, I gotta kill that.
Isn't it? It's interesting how powerful a tool like social media is and how much influence it has on an emotional level. Like how you can be in a great mood and then you see one thing and it just fucks with you the whole day, and you're like, that really pisses me off. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not just referring to what you put out.
Yeah.
That's just, it can be anything, you
Yeah.
know, but it can, and that would be my next question. Like, you have to live in that space a lot more than, like, when I get to that place, I just turn it off.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking look at that shit for another week or two.
Yeah, but Joe, you've got to go
can't do
back
that.
into it because it's your desktop.
Yeah, you kind of
it's every day.
You live in it every day. How do you feel? What kind of effect do you think that's had on you on a mental level? You know, like just socially and you know, even spiritually a little bit.
There's definitely a trade-off. Like it costs you something in just your in your headspace and in your ability to be present to play the social media game. I definitely acknowledge that. But at the same time, I think you can, like I looked at it about a year ago and I'm like, I've run Jungle Brothers Instagram for 8 years or 9 years since it started, right?
God damn.
And I'm like, I've posted for Jungle Brothers consistently for almost a decade. So I'm like,
It's been that long.
and then I've also run my own Instagram account, and then recently started Bulletproof, right? And so, and for I would say for the majority of the time, it's been a taxing force in my life. I'm like, fuck, I got to fucking post on Instagram.
Even on holidays.
What am I going to say? Yeah, on holidays, because I'm not organized enough around it to go, oh, hey, you know, Dylan, can you manage this for me? Here's the system. Off you go. It's always just been me. So I'm like, oh, I'll just do it while I'm away because it's easier. So I looked at it and I'm like, well, I have to do this thing. Like, and you don't have to, but I see it as highly necessary for the age that we live in for our business. And even if I didn't do it on Instagram, I'd have to do YouTube videos, or I'd have to do fucking, you know, whatever. You have to create content in some format. So I kind of made a deal with myself at that time. I'm like, well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well enjoy it and do it on my terms, which was where the energy came to put energy into my own Instagram account again. I'm like, all right, well, if I'm doing this, I'm going to have some fun with this shit. I'm going to be a little bit comedic. I'm just going to post whatever I actually feel. And I'm still not great at that on my personal account, but I'm going to talk to people like I'm just talking, right? Openly and whatever, honestly, about things. And what that has done is it's kind of given me the ability to start to enjoy the process more. So it's not to say like it's been like dragging myself through the mud all these years, but you know, there's a lot of times there where it's, you know, it's 9:30 at night. You're like, I've got to I haven't posted for 3 days. I've got to get a post up tonight. I've got to get a post up, and you're fucking doing it. And then it's 11 o'clock and you're like still doing it. And I've just, you know, so I sort of, I'm trying to have more fun with it now. And I suppose the tricky part is like, if I go back to that example before, I'm still not sure where to find how to find the sweet spot for Jungle Brothers, because I don't know what's hitting the mark yet. You know, I'm like, wow, what is it? It's not the exercise instructionals. It's, you know, sometimes it's the cool photos. You know, is it the podcast posts? No, they're not the ones. Like trying to find the thing. But I'm getting better at it, and I am getting more enjoyment from it as I kind of zero in on it. I've definitely cut myself slack in recent months, where I have an expectation on myself to post 5 times per week for all of those. But if I don't, and I don't get to it, and it's late at night, I just fuck it. I'll do it tomorrow, you know. And I'll still fuck it up, no doubt. But like last night was one of those nights where I've had a really busy couple of days, and I just haven't got to it. And I was like, I got to get up the podcast that we did last week, because we're podcasting tomorrow. I got to get it up. I've got everything done, and then it was like we finished dinner at like 10:15, and I was after training, and then I was like, I'm just going to do it tomorrow, you know. And as soon as you say that, it's like the pressure's off your shoulders, you know. So so there's a part where it's like it's a necessary evil, but you can also choose on how you work with that thing and if you enjoy it or not. Something that's really interesting to me, just, you know, talking about this kind of conflict idea and whatnot. So when I was sort of going through this idea of like, I want to be better at it because I want to do it more effectively and I want to enjoy it more, was I spoke to some friends of mine who are really big Instagram influencers, one in particular, shout out to Shona. And she said to me, she gave me all this incredible information. And if you follow this girl, Shona Virtue, she's a fitness influencer, but she also has incredible depth to her character. She's very outspoken about issues around racism, gender equality, like really like big things.
Good stuff.
That are not sexy, that don't get a lot of hits on Instagram. And she kind of balances that out with like, looking hot and like his booty
I realized
exercises.
that this week, hey, because I
Right.
had a look at her Instagram, and when I've never actually looked at it closely at all. I followed her because she came in the gym and we met and stuff. But it's all that. It looks like eastern suburbs. She's looking hot. She's like tanned, and I don't even look, But then I read a couple of her posts and I was like, holy shit, she's got a lot of depth, and she really articulated a few things really well. And I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah. So she plays, she's doing the best in playing the game, but also maintaining standards, as I see it.
Yeah.
But she said to me, you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. She said, one thing that's going to happen, this is like her last piece of advice. She said, people are going to get pissed off when you start to post more on your personal one. She's like, it'll surprise you, but like people will take offense to it, people that are close to you and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was just interesting because it does ruffle feathers.
Instant
in a
Jesus.
sense. Yeah, it's
The
like
prophecy.
Yeah, like people will see it as vanity. They'll see it as selfishness, or they'll see it as whatever, like anything on the spectrum. But she's like, just know that like you are going to have to deal with a little bit of criticism.
Which doesn't mean to say that any of that criticism could be right
No,
either.
or wrong, right?
Or wrong.
Yeah. Totally,
'Cause
and in a sense, like I'm, plenty of it is vanity, right? There's no doubt about that. It's kind of inbuilt into the system in a sense. You have to be okay with a bit of vanity, but yeah, it's just interesting that she said that, and then I'm like, oh, okay, fuck, like some of the stuff we've spoken about, I'm like, oh, this was foretold,
Yeah.
Something that's interesting to me there, and this is just a marketing point, is that people. You can kind of see this message a lot from marketing people talking about, but people don't buy what you're selling, they buy you, right? We know that. We know that when people come to the gym to talk to T, it's really T's character and his passion and his love for the gym and for what we teach people that someone goes, man, I want to sign up to your gym, right? It's not we run like 33 classes a week and weightlifting, gymnastics, it's all the other stuff. And so part of that was, I was like, well, Jungle Brothers is a brand, and it doesn't, even though I'm the guy that's usually the one on the videos and stuff, it still doesn't have a face because it's a business. So I was like, I'm a person, and people can buy me. So not that I'm going to be the salesperson of Jungle Brothers, but I'm like, if people come to Jungle Brothers and they see that and they're like, okay, I get there's all this stuff going on, but where's the human? They can then go into our accounts and they can see, that's how they operate day to day. That's what they're offering. Like, that's how it works. That's what And so as much as I'm not proposing to be like the number one ambassador of the gym, I'm like, in a way it kind of becomes that. You give a human side to this company that you have. And I've actually found that so far, whether or not we agree that, that maybe everything I'm putting out is perfectly in line with Jungle Brothers, but I'm like, I've actually only found it to be beneficial to this point. For me to increase my personal brand on social media has had a positive effect on Jungle Brothers and on Bulletproof.
And it's probably something, I mean, you've said this to us many times, and probably in the last grilling session that we gave you, was that you're doing what we all should be doing. And you said it yourself, if all of us were doing it, you'd love that because it'd be less work for you, but we're not. So you have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which made me think, it was good. I mean, it made me think about, okay, he does have to do this and it's a job and I gotta respect that,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Made me think.
And so say when you look at my Instagram, right, and you see here's a story that I've done of me doing some training and shit. It's funny because you look at that and you're like, you can't help, even when you know me intimately and you know how my day works, you can't help
fucking judging you.
You can't help but look at that and go, he's having a fucking holiday. Look at him, fucking doing some training, doing
Why has
some
he got
cooking,
time to film himself again?
Yeah, But
be working.
And that's the thing. When I'm training and I'm filming myself, I'm like, fuck, I didn't
wish
wish
I
I just want to train today. I've only got 40 minutes. And this is cutting into my fucking work sets.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I got to get something up today.
Yeah.
So there's really like, you know, the veil is like sunshine and rainbows. And on the, you know, what's actually happening is it is a work commitment.
Yeah.
And you got to, you know, and it's the same thing Shona said to me on that course. She's like, you got to do that work. And it comes across as something different, but it's work.
Can you show hard work in the boring times? I've struggled. I've always thought about that, you know, like how do you represent that where people actually want to look at it and like, fuck, what's he posting a laptop for? No one wants to see you working hard and doing boring shit. Is there a way that someone's doing that well out there? Or is it just in bits and pieces, showing the struggle here and there?
Well, kind of goes back to that thing of like, you gotta have that kind of primal, kind of sexy message to get people in. And then once you got them, you can tell them what it's really like. So it's like you can, you know, I post videos of me doing handstands or topless fucking push-ups or whatever. And then on that post, I can talk about, hey man, I didn't fucking train for half of last week. Got sick, had a shit week, you know, had a blow up with the missus or whatever.
Do the no makeup shot.
Woke up like this, you know, felt cute, might delete later.
Every now and then.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, so within that, you got to draw them in.
Yeah.
Because if I post a photo of my laptop, people just scroll over it.
Yeah.
So you gotta
be flesh.
Yeah, there's got to be some meat in there.
Yeah. You talked about systems and you know, some kind of structure. This has been mentioned twice, and this is something that I'm really pushing right now. This systemization of the things that we do, without having to box us in. Yeah, and we're talking about taking what you do as our head of marketing, putting that into a system, and then being able to hand that over to another. Yeah. To a aspiring Jungle Brothers affiliate.
That's right.
Why don't we talk a little bit about that and how that's going to work, and your potential emotional connection to this child that you've built.
Got to give this child a name.
A lot. With your face on it.
Bastard of a child.
You gotta hand that. Like I'm pushing for us to hand that whole role over to another within our gym, so we can work on the bigger picture together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, so I guess the big thing there, and we've touched on this and folks might know or not, but we are creating a system where people can affiliate with us and they can open their own gym that's kind of like ours, but kind of, you know, allows them to self-express and be guided by what we've learned and all the shit that we've done. And this is where the systems come into play.
It'll be our jungle affiliation model.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I suppose the thing with the marketing there is that we need to try to distill what we've done or what we're currently doing into a system that we could give to someone who's a young gym owner like we were, you know, 8 years ago, where it's like you're coaching most of the classes, you're doing a bit of training of your own, you're also doing sales, like you're doing fucking everything within the business. Maybe you have one or two other coaches that work with you, but really you're the guy or the girl. And here's what you need to fulfill each week from a marketing standpoint.
Here's how you don't sit in an office wasting time.
That's right. Looking at YouTube videos.
About stuff that's irrelevant.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about that, and obviously it's got to include an approach to how you run an Instagram account. It's got to include, you know, are you going to have a YouTube presence or not? Yeah, you know, I wouldn't say it's essential, but how do you manage your SEO? What's your website look like? Do you want to do a podcast? Probably not in the beginning. Like that can come down the track, but to try and kind of refine it or distill it to a point where it's manageable and it's kind of and it's impactful, right? So in that regard, like that will be fine, right? To come up with something,
and it's our message.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So that system is one piece, but then the other thing is, how would we let someone take over managing of that for the gym that we're currently in? That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, that's the first step.
Yeah. So if I was like,
well, that'll be the first test ground, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Handing over JB Botany and all its daily action task to another,
To another person, a
making
manager.
ourselves redundant from our own business,
Yeah.
our own
Getting a babysitter for the first time.
tangible business.
Yeah, but like a full-time babysitter
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Dude, I really don't know how that will be for me. I think it will be awesome. I think I'll be like, this is fucking mad because, you know, it just removes a lot. It allows me to sort of step back or, you know, take a bird's eye view and go, all right, these are the important things. You go and I'll keep an eye on you kind of thing. But I don't know. I might really struggle with it because it's always been me, you know, but it will also be really nice to have that kind of break from it so that I can look at more sort of bigger picture things. But here's the deal. When we do that, I'm actually just going to be continuing the role, but for a new entity.
That's right.
Which will be our
A
you
jungle
know,
affiliate.
Roll
well,
out.
It'll be us as the overseers of this affiliation system, won't it? So, you know, I guess I shouldn't get too excited because I'll probably just end up setting up another Instagram account and running that. What-
Mate, YouTube videos.
YouTube videos.
Since you mentioned it, I've been thinking about it a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because it's like the platform I use the most.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a goodie, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it all coincides with our coach's internship, which is running at the moment. We've got 7 in there. We've got more and more interest of this next generation coming through that are stepping into our space and saying, I want one of these, you know, in
Yeah.
my own neighborhood, with my own community, with a place where I can express my talent.
Yeah, with my own talent.
My skill set, you know, and Ty that we talked with last week, you could see how he uses the upstairs space for break, you know.
Yeah.
Doesn't use it for jits.
Yeah.
So all of these things, but he's still in bodyweight class, still lifting, he's still he's doing stretch and all that kind of stuff. And you think, okay, this model or these systems that we're building are all off the back of, you know, this 10 years of evolving with the tools like the social media tools and all the other stuff and all the mistakes that we've made along the way. This next wave, they don't need to make those mistakes.
That's right.
They can jump to the front of the
Shortcut.
line. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. We want to save them all that time.
Yeah.
And be like, this is what's important and this is what you need to do. Yeah, all that money we spent on business coaching and the time we wasted, they don't have to do it.
No, it's got
God mode.
Yeah, totally. Hey,
But it's also quite difficult. But it's forced us to sit back and ask us, okay, what are these fundamentals? What's glue holding this place together? Why is it different?
Yeah.
You know?
It's been a good process.
And is it even? I mean, we've said this before. Like, how the fuck do we package what we do? Because of the fact that there's so many things going on in here that make it what it is. It's hard to even explain. You know, we've always struggled to sum up.
We've tried to explain on
what
about
our
20
fucking-
different podcasts.
Yeah, and to now that we've got the time to actually package what we've got and give that to somebody to utilize as a tool, it's very exciting.
It is.
And it's challenging, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's forcing us to clarify a lot of things that we've just done.
And
Yeah.
We just do them because we kind of get it. But to teach that to someone, that's a real, it's kind of the thing with training, isn't it? It's like you got to understand the exercise intimately
Yes.
to really know how to teach it to someone well.
Yeah.
And the truth is, things aren't all that simple. Like, you can only boil it down to a part. Like, you know, human beings are complex. We're really complicated. But you could just boil it down to, you know, a living, breathing thing with living social structures. Like, it's just complicated.
It is.
But it's, you know, I think we're doing so far, and we're kind of in the middle of it, doing a good job of distilling it.
Yeah, it's great. I'm
exciting.
enjoying the process.
We should wrap it up in a bit.
Yeah.
In a moment. Is there any last thing you want to hit on?
No, that was it. It's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was good.
What about you, Paul?
My Instagram handle is @jbpawley.com. No,
Planning on posting any day now.
it's been ages.
I'm gonna fucking
I've
start.
been off it for
I'm going to
2.5
start this week.
You heard that, guys.
I'm
It's
starting this week.
the date today is
It's the 31st.
31st of
One
July.
FC tonight.
Right.
This week.
We're
Well, I'm going to rely on your system that you put together.
We
Yeah,
can get
we'll
it done.
wait for that,
Have it on
guys.
my desk. No.
You know, and I we're going to be talking social media marketing in our internship next week, a week after next. And you know what my big takeaway for all the guys is going to be
What?
is just fucking start. Just
Yes.
post something, and because here's the deal, that the way the app works now, way Instagram works, is that you can't just post on there and then turn it off. It's not enough. It registers your engagement with other accounts to understand that you are actually giving the app time and attention, and then it gives you feedback, which is likes. Yeah, this is why for a long time I tried scheduling posts through third-party software, and nothing. Because it knows you're posting and you're not actually there. But when I'm there and I'm commenting on people's posts and I'm liking and I'm making stories and they're commenting back, it's
Engagement.
It's truly social, right? In a sense, like it actually is. For however you kind of feel about it, it wants to see that you're socializing and using the app.
That's
so you got to post.
Twisted in a sense when I think about it.
Yeah, but it's also
makes
like,
sense.
why should we reward you for hacking our system?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you want
yeah,
attention,
yeah.
but you don't want to give anyone else attention.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
it relies on people giving each other attention.
Yes.
So it's like, give other people attention and we will give you attention.
And when I think about that, it's like, because that attention means time, and time is the most valuable of currencies. And when I think about it, it's a sacrifice. So if I want to give that attention, I'm literally sacrificing time from someone else,
Something.
Yeah.
something else, and the people that are in front of me. Yeah, it's interesting,
Yeah.
but it's a tool for us because we're trying to send a message, and for us, some of us we're trying to run a business, PTs and whatnot. So it's just balancing that out. Hey,
That's right. But so the thing there is like, you just got to fucking do it. You got to be on it and make it part of your life. And then if you choose not to be, it's fine too. But just understand, I guess, how it benefits you and what you're trying to do. And if it's integral to your mission, then I guess you got to embrace it.
it's true.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, in this day and age, it's almost a prerequisite, isn't it? For a startup.
It's hard to imagine you would run a startup now and not be on it.
Yeah.
Like not on Instagram. Facebook, it's probably on the way out. But yeah, tricky one.
That's the take home.
Well, make sure you follow us, guys, at Jungle Brothers Movement on Instagram.
At JB Pauly on Instagram.
At JB Tiora. That's mine, isn't it?
Isn't it?
I have
That's so
two.
good.
I don't know how I opened another
You
account.
got two?
I don't know how the fuck that happened. I had another
I've seen a
account.
few people like that. Yeah,
And I'm at JB Joey. But you already
you
follow
already
me.
know that.
All right, thanks, legends. I appreciate the chat.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening, guys. That was episode 70, JB Podcast. Thanks to Panavore for providing the coffee.
Thank you, Tree.
Yeah, Tree legend. Actually gave Tree the oysters that were left over from the ones that Paul West brought us a couple of weeks ago.
Fuck, they were good.
He took them home last night. Thanks for listening, guys. If you liked the episode, please flick us a like on iTunes, give us a ranking, or share it with a friend. Take a screenshot of it, post on your Instagram. Help spread the word, because then you're doing the marketing for us, and that's really, I'm trying to make my job easier. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you next week. Peace.